Roman perspective, it is not clear what the difference is between the two faiths, or that belief in Christ as the risen Messiah would evolve into a permanent boundary marker between Judaism and Christianity. By the end of the Apostle era, the process of separation, the development of separate identities for Judaism and Christianity, is well underway. If you sit down and try and name the apostles, you might find it to be a difficult task, especially considering the fact that they kept changing their names. These apostles, who were close to Christ, witnesses to his mission, and later to his resurrection and ascension into heaven, were essentially charged with carrying his message far and wide throughout the Roman Empire. Popular myths have overshadowed what few facts there are about these very real historical men who walked and talked with Christ. But little is actually known about many of them. All right, let's start with Andrew, who was the brother of Simon Peter, also known as Peter, also known as the Rock, or Cephas. The two are pictured as fishermen working beside the sea when Christ summons them to follow him and become fishers of men. In John's Gospel, Andrew first appears as a disciple of John the Baptist. Although Andrew is less prominent than his brother, he is present for Christ's bread miracle, the feeding of the 5,000, the miracle of the loaves and the fishes. And Andrew's apocalyptic speech, and Christ's apocalyptic speech on the Mount of Olives, where Andrew carried the gospel, is uncertain, but he is linked with Greece. Now, in the Acts of Andrew, an incomplete 3rd century text, it is said that Andrew was crucified in Patras, Greece, after converting the wife of a magistrate to Christianity. According to this tradition, which is a Gnostic tradition, Andrew was crucified on an X-shaped cross. He insists on the death penalty and refuses to escape twice. Now, the X-shaped cross, the Cruz de Cusata, was actually very common in ancient sculpture and ancient art. Now, according to legend, it is said that during his crucifixion, Andrew preached at length while he's hanging from the cross. According to this tradition, Andrew preaches for 4 whole days before he dies. And his preaching was filled with great power. Legend also has Andrew, among other things, turning 7 demons into dogs. He also reappeared miraculously in Scotland several centuries later. This legend stems from the historical Saint Regalis, also known as Rule, who is said to have come to Scotland in the 4th century, bringing with him relics of St. Andrew. And Rule also founds the town and bishopric of St. Andrew. The X-shaped cross, the Cruz de Cusata, appears on the flag of Great Britain and represents Scotland. St. Andrew is depicted in art as an old man with long white hair and a long white beard, holding a gospel in his right hand and leaning on the Cruz de Cusata, the cross of St. Andrew, the X-cross. Andrew is the patron saint of Scotland and Russia, and his feast day is November 30th. All right, now let's move on to the Apostle James, which is something of an enigma for historians and biblical scholars. Since James was a common name among the Jews,